Okay, having a look at sketching graphs with a phase shift. Now, in my other sketching graphs video, I went through changing the amplitude, changing the period, and also a vertical shift. In this one, I'm just going to focus on the phase shift. I do have a little amplitude change, but that doesn't affect too much. So when I'm looking at this one, I know my amplitude is going to equal 3. I know my period is going to be, there's no change to the period, so that's just going to be 2 pi. But I have a phase shift of pi on 2, so that means I'm going forward pi on 2. Now, I differ from some teachers in how they teach this, in that I like to do my base graph first and then apply the phase change. So before I graph the final graph, I do the without the phase change. So I've got my 1 to 3 on my axis for my y, and then with my period is 2 pi. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's my 2 pi. Halfway is going to be pi. Half of that is going to be pi on 2, and then I've got my 3 pi on 2 over there. I always have a look at what my phase shift fraction is in. So if I had a 3 on the bottom, I would probably do 12 increments across the bottom, because I know I can divide it by 4 for my graph, and I can divide that by 3 for my phase shift. In this case, it's pi on 2, so I could have just done my 4 original increments there, but I just wanted to put in some extras there just to show a bit more detail. So my original graph is going to be my sine curve, and my feature points are the 0, 0, the peak at the top here, crossing through at pi, my trough here, my minimum value, and then coming back to the start here. So this is my base shape, and then I need to move each of those points forward pi on 2. So I grab this original point, it's going to move forward pi on 2. So it will have its point here. Then I'm going to move this one forward pi on 2. I'm going to move this one forward pi on 2, and this one forward pi on 2. So that gives me this shape here. Now I haven't finished a full cycle, so I would need to go up here to finish off that cycle, which would give me, when I'm going along the bottom here, if I'm working in pi on 2, that would be 4 pi on 2, so this one over here would be 5 pi on 2, which is just off the screen. But usually we'll show between 0 and 2 pi, so what I'll do is I'll bring that one back, because I know that's what the shape is going to be. So my final graph looks like this one here. So depending what domain you are asked to graph for, always check that. Sometimes you'll be asked to find some x and y intercepts, and then you'll use your skills from solving trig equations to find those values. I find this is probably the easiest one, just to get your shape, and then look if you need to find any x intercepts or y intercepts there to complete your sketch of your graph. Okay.